Hi, I'm Phil Ashey from the American Anglican Council with another episode of One Big Idea, where we look at the lessons for this upcoming Sunday, the 8th Sunday after Pentecost, Sunday, July 18. So much we could say about Isaiah 57, the comfort to the contrite, about the gospel from Mark on the feeding of the 5,000. But here we are again in Ephesians with this wonderful letter that Paul has addressed. And if there's one big idea I'd like to commend to you for this Sunday, it is that people build walls, but Jesus builds bridges. And in fact, more than that, Jesus is the one who tears down dividing walls of hostility in order to build bridges that call us into one new identity in him. It's an expansion really on the theme of last week, our identity in Christ, because what this lesson is saying, what Paul is saying here, is that our identity in Christ is not something that we live alone, siloed off from others, but it is an identity that we live together as one new man. And so Paul says in this wonderful passage in verse 15, that his purpose, that is Jesus' purpose in dying for us, was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two, that is, out of Jew and Gentile, thus making peace, and in one body to reconcile both of them to God through the cross, by which he put to death their hostility. It's very interesting. John Stott, in his commentary on Ephesians 2, notes that in 1871, they actually discovered in the ruins of the temple, as they were digging, the dividing wall of hostility that's being referred to here. And let me just read to you from that. It was marked with language, and that language was, I believe, in both Hebrew and Greek. And on that piece of the wall there that divided the court of the Gentiles from the court of the Israelites, it said, "No man of another race is to proceed within the partition and enclosing wall about the sanctuary. Anyone arrested there will have himself to blame for the penalty of death, which will be imposed as a consequence." So Paul's not just talking some abstract idea here. He was addressing a real situation. And he begins this passage about how our natural default is to be walled off from God and walled off from each other, alienated from God and alienated from each other. And so he says in verse 11, actually verse 12, that at that time you were separate from Christ, excluded from citizenship in Israel, foreigners to the covenants of the promise, without hope and without God in the world. But now, in Christ, there, that wonderful phrase, in Christ, you who were once far away have been brought near by the blood of Christ. So this one big idea is that Jesus drawing us into himself, our identity, true identity in him, is not just an individual thing, it's a communitarian thing. It's something that we do with others. And it breaks down all the dividing walls we construct with each other on the basis of sex or politics or financial station in life. It's neither Jew nor Gentile. It's neither slave nor free. It's neither male nor female. All are in Christ, as he says elsewhere in his letter to the Galatians. What does this have to say to us and to our culture? Well, that quote I read last week from Carl Trueman about people feeling lost in culture today and not having a community to be a part of. I really think about the context in which we live in a media-driven culture in which the social media in which we swim actually has algorithms that bring us into ever-diminishing circles of trust with people that think and act and do just as we are and who wall themselves off from others. Whether we're talking about the walls we build out of fear of others or in our interpersonal relationships, we are a people that build walls. But Jesus comes to tear down those walls of separation, those dividing walls of hostility, so that we can become one new people, the people of God who witness this wonderful identity we have together in Christ, overflowing with love and with healing. That's the message that we have, the good news that we have to offer to our culture. So until next week, have a blessed week, and be sure to share with your neighbors about this wonderful way that Jesus himself breaks down all dividing walls of hostility. God bless you.